You guys are in for quite a treat in our last hour and a half. Next up, we have Gitika Gorthi. She is the founder and CEO of IgnitedThinkers, a nonprofit organization she founded in the 8th grade to spread space education and her love for aerospace to students across the world. Check it out. It is www.IgnitedThinkers.org. She is an incoming freshman at Columbia University in their College of Engineering and Applied Science as a Davis Scholar. Gitika is an aspiring aerospace physician, medical researcher, and astronaut. Dr. Pandya, you have met your doppelganger. Through Ignited Thinkers, Gitika is working towards breaking the glass ceiling for minorities in the aerospace industry, incorporating more hands-on research, space science-based activities into elementary education curriculums, and igniting the passions of all students by providing them the opportunity to explore and create. Ignited Thinkers' mission and vision statement are simple: to ignite, inform, and inspire students across the world. Conducting medical research at the Baylor College of Medicine Space Medicine Center, researching wind turbines at the University of Central Florida at Raghavan Research Group, working with Professor Dr. Prasanta Pal from Brown University to develop telemedicine technology, and interning last summer at NASA Ames Research Center at Gene Lab. Remember, she's just an incoming freshman. Gitika is climbing towards her goals going into aerospace medicine research. She's extremely excited about the new understanding and studying of humans in space and what that will bring to treat diseases here on Earth, and the medical technological advancements that will occur on Earth with the greater utilization of telemedicine for deep space exploration missions. Most recently, Gitika was named one of the top 100 aerospace and aviation professionals to follow on LinkedIn in 2021. The future of aerospace is exciting, and Gitika is working to make it a more diverse and equitable environment for everyone. Furthermore, Gitika is a 2021-2022 Teen Board of Director of the Girl Scout Nation's Capital and 2020 to 2022 Girls Advisory Board member for Girl Scouts USA. She provides strategic advice to help make the scouting program more diverse, equitable, and inclusive for all girls. Please make welcome this incredible young lady.
Thank you, Ms. Ivy, for the wonderful introduction. Good evening, explorers and visionary leaders of the aerospace industry. I want to start off by requesting all of you to please close your eyes for a moment. I want all of you to imagine an explorer. Okay, you can open your eyes now. I want you to raise your hand if you imagined a male astronaut flying in micro-G conducting an exciting experiment in space. Okay. Raise your hand if you saw a middle-aged engineer maybe sketching away the next rocket design or coding away on their computers. Okay. And now, raise your hand if you saw a young girl scientist exploring. Okay, some hands. Hello, my name is Gitika Gorthi, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ignited Thinkers, a nonprofit to spread space education to students across the world. I'm an incoming freshman at Columbia University in their College of Engineering and Applied Science. I am an aspiring aerospace physician and astronaut, aiming to be the first doctor on Mars. Growing up, I was like many of you in this room tonight. I went to the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. countless times. I watched Star Wars and Star Trek and asked myself questions all the time, like why the moon seemed to be following me everywhere that I went. Ever since I was a little girl, outer space always was fascinating and was curious. Yet, as a young girl, I didn't think of becoming an astronaut, or I could become an explorer. As a first-generation student in America, with neither of my parents in the aerospace industry, and as a young girl, I simply didn't think it was an option for me. To this day, only 1 in 5 space leaders are women, and only 12% of all astronauts in history have been women. Yet it all changed for me in 7th grade through a middle school rocketry club. My tech ed teacher, Mr. Alan Anderson, he noticed my curiosity with building model rockets. He saw how excited I was and asked me, Gitika, why don't you join this rocketry club that I have? And I had initially very mixed reactions. I was like, I don't know if I could build a model rocket. I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, but also I was very excited. I mean, imagine just flying my own model rocket every week at the back of my school. So I obviously jumped at the opportunity and went to build and join the rocketry club. And immediately, I proved myself wrong. I could build a model rocket, and I absolutely enjoyed it. I would spend 2 to 3 hours every day designing a new design on RockSim, testing to see how far the rocket could fly with these different fin shapes. I would print new fins out on the laser printer at my school and would just experiment with the model rockets. I quickly earned my Mercury and Gemini pins through the NARTREC certification program and was looking into earning my high-powered rocketry license. That summer, I applied for a 1-week free summer program at NASA Goddard Center called the Sisters Program. I ended up having 1 week at NASA where I got to talk with all scientists, visit the laboratories, and talk with the current female leaders in the industry. And I immediately knew that this is where I wanted to be, and this was my future. And fast forward, now as a NASA Ames research intern, I know the 8th grade me would be gleaming to know that I now am aiming to be the first doctor on Mars. But apart from my passions growing in the 8th grade, I also had a very monumental conversation that changed my perspective about the industry. I was launching a bigger rocket that couldn't be done at the back of my school, so obviously I dragged my parents along to a Novar launch site, which is around 45 minutes away from my house, and we went and they drove me there and I launched my first bigger model rocket. And on the car ride back home, my parents said something that really changed my perspective. My dad, who's an immigrant from India, said, Gitika, you're so lucky to have this opportunity at age 13 to build a model rocket. I mean, I'm 41 and I've never built a model rocket and I didn't even know I could build a model rocket. You're so lucky to have this club that inspired your passion. And then it all just clicked in at that moment. And I was like, that's so true. If I did not have this middle school club that really fostered my passion, then I would have been in a completely different path, probably pursuing my passion for biology, but I wouldn't have thought about space. And so at that moment, I founded IgnitedThinkers, a nonprofit to provide this middle school club experience that I had to every single student across the world to inspire, inform, and ignite their passions for the future of the aerospace industry. I wanted all of them to have an inclusive space environment. IgnitedThinkers has free workshops, free webinars. We have a YouTube channel where we highlight diverse space champions, and I recognize many of you here tonight. And also, we are incorporating hands-on space education in schools by working with different school systems and counties. With the help of my mentors and IgnitedThinkers board of directors, whom, by the way, I all met on LinkedIn, which is a whole story in itself, but with their help, I was able to now work towards the goal of creating a K-12 competition for students to form teams at their local schools and work to compete in different topics of the space industry, whether it be a collaborative competition around space art, space policy debate, building a model rocket, designing the next biosentinel experiment in space. We are working towards this long-term vision of creating this space for every student to have the opportunity to explore every single aspect of the diverse space economy. And so, along with IgnitedThinkers, one thing that I've noticed through the research that I've done is that the aerospace industry does have a broken pipeline. There's a huge talent gap in the industry, not only by age, but also diversity in terms of the representation of women as well as minorities in the industry. And through interviewing, I mentioned that Ignited Thinkers has a podcast series where we highlight diverse space champions. And one of the questions that I always ask them is, what is an obstacle you faced? And something common that I've noticed through many of these interviewees is they said the imposter syndrome. Many times they were the only girl in a physics classroom, or they were the only young student in their rocketry club, or they were the ones sticking out of a conference. They just felt like they didn't belong, or maybe they weren't supposed to be in the aerospace industry. And we are so fortunate that there's fellowships like the Brooke Owens Fellows and other organizations that are working to empower young adults into the industry. But what makes Ignited Thinkers different is that we're working with K through 12. We're working with a younger audience, and we're giving content that comes from students. One of the things I love to emphasize in every workshop that I go to, you can see I've talked with Girl Scouts, I've met various different students in Virginia and even across the world. And something I'd like to mention is, if I can do it, then you can do it as well. I mean, I'm only a few years older than you, and I don't know anything about this industry just a few years ago. So if I can, you can. And I think that's what makes Ignited Thinkers different. Additionally, I've noticed, through the Apollo mission a few decades ago, the Apollo generation was inspired to develop innovative technology that we use in our daily life today. And I know that the Artemis mission will inspire millions in the Mars generation to go into the aerospace industry and to pursue these different visions that we have for the future. And we need to uplift and empower this Mars generation to take on the large goals we have for the future. Initiatives like Ignited Thinkers are working to shape the future engineers, the future artists, the future scientists, the future policymakers, and the future explorers. Another program that I would like to share with all of you tonight is one that's very close to my heart, called Space Prize. Space Prize is a worldwide contest where young girls will have the opportunity to participate in the new space economy. Kim Acharya, my mentor and space sister, she is the executive director of Space Prize. These young women are able to get the opportunity to launch their careers in the aerospace industry through this contest. Space Prize already had their first competition where 5 schools in New York City were able to compete, and young girls were able to win a seat to have experienced some unique astronaut experiences. The winners from this first competition were able to attend the space camp in Alabama for free, and were able to be featured in a New York Times Square billboard. I mean, that's crazy. And what it says right there, I know you can't read it, but it says, "Let's talk gender equity in space." And I think it's a powerful statement that we were able to highlight these young women on such a big public platform. And seeing these young girls being recognized, girls who look just like me, was very exciting, and I'm so glad for Space Prize. I was talking and I was listening to some of these girls and what they had to say, and seeing how Space Prize was developing a broad and open curriculum for these girls and others to access for free online to learn about the space economy, to learn about space philosophy, and other parts of the space industry with an approach of design thinking to prepare students for the jobs of tomorrow really, really excited me, because I was able to also hear the young students after going through this program, their future visions for the aerospace industry, which greatly aligns with my own. And so you might ask, what excites me about the aerospace industry, and what excites me about exploring to Mars? Well, of course, there's so many different things that we all can agree on. The first being, humans are about to set foot on another planet. We are not going to just be on Earth or have presence on the moon, but we are going much further. And with that will come more technological and medical advancements. Like Miss Ivy mentioned in my introduction, I'm a huge space medicine fan, and so what excites me the most is the technology that we will develop to send humans to Mars, which will help advance medical treatments here on Earth. So for example, to put this simply, just with astronauts going to the ISS, we've discovered a lot about bone degradation. When astronauts didn't exercise in space, they lost a lot of bone mass in their muscles. And we were able to see what genes were involved with this degradation, what genes were upregulated abnormally, and what were downregulated abnormally. And we were able to understand about the slow bone degradation process here on Earth in a much quicker way in space. And just like that, imagine as we're trying to solve the questions, like how are we going to deal with greater exposure to space radiation, with greater links physically and also, psychology, like how are we going to enable these humans to be able to travel long distances to Mars? We are going to have some challenging questions medically and technologically that we have to answer. And when we answer these questions, we will be able to advance human life here on Earth as well. And answering these questions is what got me into space and something that keeps me curious to stay in space. And so as we propel into the future of Mars and we look forward, we have to remember to not only recognize the past visionary leaders and the current leaders of the industry who are creating and paving the vision that we have for tomorrow, but also involve the Mars generation in the conversations we are having today, because they are the ones defining the future. We, the Mars generations, are the ones who are going to be traveling to Mars. We, the Mars generation, are the ones who are going to be taking action on the visions we're talking about today. And we, the Mars generation, are the ones who are going to be exploring beyond the cosmos. So let's remember to explore further beyond, but also uplift the diverse talents of the Mars generation, who will propel humanity forward together. Thank you. And I know I have a few minutes to take questions, so if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask me, whether it be about Ignited Thinkers or Space Prize or really just anything, I would love to answer them now.
Hi, I'm Sidney Nakahoro, General Partner at Untitled Capital, and also a member of the faculty of Columbia University. So looking forward to see you on the campus. And I'm glad that our admissions office is doing a great job in selecting students. But as you can imagine,
very honored to attend Columbia.
Yeah, as you can imagine, like life on campus is very demanding. How do you plan to reconcile your activities with Ignited Thinkers and your college experience?
Yes, thank you for that question. So recently I developed a board of directors, and earlier I didn't know a lot about managing a nonprofit organization, but as Ms. Ivy mentioned, I was a part of the Girl Scouts teen board of directors, and I learned all that it takes to run a nonprofit and also strategically grow to reach out to a diverse and large audience. And so this year, I was able to have many of my mentors who I met on LinkedIn, such as Mr. Courtney Stad, Ms. Shelley Brunswick, also Christina Korb, and so many other incredible individuals in the industry to join my board of directors. And this summer, I have no plans except to really focus on Ignited Thinkers and to create this strategic plan for the next 2 years of what are our short-term goals to be able to continuously keep reaching out to students. And so I hope that in these few months, I'll be able to have smaller targets, attainable targets to be able to have for the organization, as well as balancing school life at Columbia, which I know will definitely be a different transition in my life. So I'm excited to try balancing both, but I know that's something that I'm going to be doing. Yes.
Hi, I'm George Rodriguez. I'm originally from Peru. What can you do, or what are you doing through your organization for countries that don't have all these possibilities in terms of space exploration?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. Yeah, Ignited Thinkers has a vision of helping students across the world. And so currently what we're doing is most of my outreach happens through social media. And so a lot of students or clubs or schools that I talked with, I've actually recently worked with a school in the Caribbean as well in India and a school in the UK. And so through a lot of the social media outreach, we're able to connect with different school clubs, school organizations, and go speak with them and talk to them about the different parts of the space industry that they're excited to hear about. But also, our new vision is to create these kits, these hands-on kits that schools can have, for teachers to easily access. And we hope to send these kits, we're going to start off in Virginia, but then expand across the United States and even across the world, and have these kits open access resource for every single person to access. And so we do have this long-term vision of creating this global competition, like I mentioned, for every single student in the world, so there will be no geographic boundary. But I think the biggest thing that we're doing right now is using the virtual platform digital media, which I think is something that we're very good at with the younger generations is just reaching out and networking through social media and talking with these students virtually. And I know I've talked with many students in different countries, so we're hoping to start new clubs and to encourage these young students to have, we're going to increase resources online as well that they can access for free. And we have Ignited Thinkers YouTube channel if you want to check it out. And we will have free content on there as well for all students. So I think it's really just utilizing the tools we already have. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Thank you. Hi, Gitika. Obviously, you're quite an inspiration, so thank you for all that you're doing for young ladies. As you think of your journey, obviously you're about to start a new chapter. How do you summarize what some of your biggest challenges have been?
Yeah, thank you for that question. There have been, as you can probably imagine, a lot of difficulties. When I first started Ignited Thinkers in 8th grade, it was simply an idea. I didn't know anybody in the industry, and for someone who just had this idea of, oh, I'm going to start a nonprofit, it was something that was like, okay, how am I going to start now? Like, I had this great idea, but how am I going to do it? And I remember the first time I was like, I have to start reaching out. I have to start talking with people, because we only grow when we start to collaborate, not just trying to do everything by ourselves. And so I reached out to, I think, around 50 or 60 organizations, really just anyone I could find on the internet, and just email them, like, this is what I want to do, and I'm a young student, I think I bring new perspective, and I'm similar to the age group that you're targeting, which I think is more powerful. And so I just reached out to so many people, and I got 1 or 2 responses, which was a huge win at that time for me. And so I think it was a matter of me just putting myself out there. And in 9th grade, it kind of hit a roadblock. I was talking with few students, not a lot. And then I took a step in 10th grade to call myself a founder and CEO on LinkedIn. And I think that was a changing moment in my life, because calling myself a founder and CEO of an organization before was a little bit scary. But I told myself that if I don't do this, and if I don't push myself and push my comfort zone and reach out to people, then I'm never going to share what I want to share with Ignited Thinkers. And so one of the biggest lessons that I learned is you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I've been playing basketball since 3rd grade, so I think this quote just resonated with me quickly, and it was, if I don't even attempt to put myself out there or reach out to these industry leaders, then I'm never going to get their attention, and I'm never going to be able to put Ignited Thinkers out there where it can reach millions of students. And so I just always kept taking risks, and it was difficult at first, but I slowly got used to it, and I that's what kind of keeps me continuously growing. And I think networking on LinkedIn has been the biggest thing, because I've been able to talk with 3 Blue Origin astronauts, a future Virgin Galactic astronaut, and meet so many incredible people who support Ignited Thinkers today via LinkedIn and social media. So I think it's just a matter of just keep trying and put yourself out there.
Hi, you're awesome.
Thank you.
First of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Paula Korn, and I am a Space Prize mentor to a young woman in New York. And I would like to connect her with you. I think she's maybe a year younger than you are, and I think you could give her the boost that she could really use, because you're so close in age. And I'm a space cadet and have been since Sputnik went up, if that gives you a sense of my history in space. And so I want to give that to this young woman, but I need you as a little intermediary.
Of course, yes, that would be a huge honor. Yes, I 100%, I'll come to you after and we can connect.
Excellent.
Thank you. And if you want to reach out, you can visit the website and there's an email address, or you can LinkedIn, Twitter, at Gitika Gorthi, and I promise I'm a very fast responder, so if you ever want to reach out.
I'm also on LinkedIn.
Hi.
What made you want to be the first doctor on Mars?
Thank you for that question. Yeah, I will give a quick response because I know we have another great speaker. But I think for me, it was when I got into high school, I was like, I really love rocketry, I love building, I love design. But I also had this curiosity for biology that kept developing. As I was a Girl Scout, I did many badges, and I started falling in love with the human body. And again, the challenging questions that I was asking about what is inside of us and how can we solve these different conditions we have inside, and solve medical conditions. And so I had this curiosity for both biology and space. And so going into high school, I think around 10th grade, I was like, okay, I have to know what I want to do because I really love two different things, but I didn't realize they were so close together. And I one day randomly searched up on the internet space medicine because I didn't know anybody who was doing space medicine. I didn't even know it was real, but I searched it up and put two words that I loved together, and I realized it was a real career. And ever since then, I knew that this is what I want to do, and I want to be an aerospace medicine physician. And I've been working to find internships around that, connect with mentors. I know Dr. Shana Pandya, she really inspired me to kind of realize that aerospace medicine is a real career. And so ever since then, I've been trying to connect with mentors and learn more about, how I can get involved in this type of career and pursuit. And so ever since, I also created a YouTube channel, like I mentioned, and we highlight diverse space careers there too, because I didn't know space policy was a real career or something you could do space philosophy. And so when I started getting into these careers, I realized a lot of students drop off their interest for space because they don't realize the large opportunities that exist beyond and how interdisciplinary the space industry really is. And so in high school, I discovered my passion, and I hope you discover yours too one day, and just combine everything together because I think that's what makes space so beautiful.
How about a big round of applause? Before Gitika goes, I think I should just go, and your next president of Explore Mars is right here, right? Yeah, I've nominated you when you're ready. Again, what is so beautiful about what you're doing is you are already such an inspiration. I have no doubt you will be a doctor on Mars. Let's give a big round of applause for this amazing young woman.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.